Hi folks, it's Zach, and today we're talking about the Mass Effect 4 trailer for Mass Effect Andromeda that just dropped at E3 today. So I have this video going in two parts. The first part is the 2-minute trailer that you can see right now. It's already playing behind this narration. And then after that, I went ahead and selected certain screenshots out of the trailer that really said something to me that I wanted to talk about. And so I have those that'll play next. They go for about 30 seconds apiece, and there's a little bit of a narration for me about some of the ideas that were generated by seeing that particular shot. I didn't go frame by frame of every single shot of everything that we see in this trailer though, so if you think that you saw something that I missed or there's something else you want to talk about, feel free to put that into the comments areas and get this conversation going. I would love to hear what you guys thought about this particular trailer. But at about the 2-minute mark, you'll start seeing those stills and screenshots and some of my theories about what it is that we're seeing, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this one, guys. This is obviously nothing is set in stone, everything is still up in the air, but a lot of what this trailer was put out to do, and this is my opinion, was to get us excited about this game and to give us a different feeling about Mass Effect than what we were left with at the end of Mass Effect 3. At the end of Mass Effect 3, many players were just straight up disappointed and bitter towards BioWare for how that series wrapped up. We had this gigantic confrontation with the Reapers set up by 2 previous games, and then at the end of 3, we all just kind of felt like none of our choices mattered and everything really fizzled. So this game is really about setting the tone of what Andromeda will be about, which is about pioneering exploration, new sights, new sounds, new feelings, new horizons, and new cast, new is the theme of this trailer to get us going for that. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of these frames and get an idea of what it is that we are looking at. So one of the first images that really struck me in this trailer was of the Tempest, and this obviously looks like it's going to be the player's ship that you are in control of. It's got a very different design than the Normandy did, and one of the things that I like about looking at this is it makes me feel that there has been time that has passed moving forward, and that technology has advanced and merged ideas from several different cultures into it. The Normandy was a hybrid project between 2 different races, and I feel like this looks like it's more of a hybrid of a bunch of different races. Also, one of the great things about Mass Effect Andromeda is locations, and I have a bunch of location shots that jumped out at me. But one of the cool things here was it looked like there was actually a flying craft flying through this deserty planet with some sort of dust storm. It reminded me of the scene of Mass Effect 3 on Mars, but in a much bigger and more technically graphic scale. It really has me wondering just like how much graphics power is going to be put in this engine and into the exploration. And speaking of exploration, this shot really spoke to me because you just see one man, but it looks like there's something hanging in the sky inverted with this like little tower, and I am dying to know what this thing is. I can't really make it out from any of the shots or the still frames that I've taken, but it sets my mind already into that place of wonderment, of just wondering what is possible to see in this game. And that's one of the magical parts about this trailer is I feel that they're setting this up very well. They want us to be excited about the different things that we're seeing. Same thing with this shot. More specifically though, guys, look at this flying critter that's above this very standardized looking human capsule. So we saw a lot of times in the other games that there'd be these human encampments on alien worlds that would use these prefab designs, but then you see this flying thing up above our heads, and I don't know if it's reminiscent of Avatar or what, but I kind of dig it. And along with new locations, let's talk about new characters. Right here, I thought this was one of the most visually striking elements of this because it's the first time we're seeing somebody's face in any of the Andromeda, artwork and anything that we've seen thus far. And it's interesting that it's an Asari face, 1, and 2, that it is so young. It almost looks like, and I'm just throwing my own theory out here, like this could be some character that we know's kid, or if not some character that we know, a new character, but who's a child. Meanwhile, as far as the player character goes, there's been a few shots of what looks like an N7 type soldier, and this was one of the shots that I picked because I like the color scheme of brown personally, but I also thought that it was interesting. It almost looked like he had pistol holsters on the sides of his armor and that jetpack on the back. I'm really digging the idea that it's going to be a soldier that you create. They're not showing faces for the player character yet, so I'm hoping that we literally get to build that character from the ground up. All right, and now I didn't know what to make of this. I just thought this game is gonna be full of background screen art. Oh my gosh, I love this shot, and it kind of can make out a ship like the Tempest in the background, and then this house, and it makes me wonder too, like, could you make a player house in this game? That seems so far out of bounds for what Mass Effect has done before. But I don't know. That's the sense that I kind of get from this, is that there's a structure here that somehow feels like it belongs to the player character. All right, and now this particular shot made me feel like this is actually not in Andromeda, but this makes me feel like this is somewhere back in the original locations, because it kind of looks like there's aircraft moving through a devastated area. We can definitely make out at least a Krogan and some other humanoid race here. This makes me wonder if this is a shot of something that we were trying to get away from and not something we are moving into. It could be one of the new locations, and it could just be like a rougher terrain area, but I don't know. It's just food for thought. What do you think? And I don't know about this one, guys. This one takes me back to the very first game when we did the lunar colony mission in Mass Effect 1. And right now, this very much feels like a very Earth planet with a moon. And you can kind of make out the edges of what looks like a ship, like the Tempest over on the right-hand side. Really curious. Every image in a trailer is important, and so I'm always trying to figure out, like, why did they include this particular image in this trailer? This shot followed a picture of a guy doing this work with the green screen and mocap suit. But what I love about it is that it shows biotics. Straight up, biotics, they'll be there. I like that as kind of affirmation to, yes, even though we're going to this new location, we are bringing older elements back into it. And will our player character by default be a biotic, or is that something we could choose? I don't know. We haven't seen a lot of class-specific abilities, but we have seen a jetpack for sure, N7 armor, and now also biotics. Speaking of things coming back, it's the Mako! Yes! I'm very excited. I love the Mako. I love the cannon on the Mako. I liked combat in the Mako. If you didn't, no offense. I still love you, but I dig it because I always felt it was one of the most unused elements out of the Mass Effect series. You know, it was in the first game, and then we didn't really get a chance to see it in any of the others. I'm really excited it's coming back. The graphical prowess of what we are seeing in Andromeda is amazing, and I want to ride around on these planets. They are so beautiful that I can't. My heart would break if we didn't get the chance to. So this just excites me, guys. What this means is that there's not going to be just pre-rendered areas for us to go to, you know, on planets. You will actually be able to ride around the planets themselves, bringing that hallmark back from Mass Effect 1, which I love. I love having more planets to explore than just places I have missions to go to. This next shot is like one of these planets. You in the first game could, you know, go around and you'd visit a planet, and maybe it wouldn't be something you'd land on, but it'd give you a ton of different facts about it. And then there's some that there was no mission there, but there was, you know, stuff to look at and pick up. If this is how those planets look, and this is just Johnny Average planet that you could just jump down to, holy smokes! I'm so excited. Look at that planet with the rings in back there, that sun and that blue, you know, sky. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's talk about some combat here. So this is one shot that I picked up because you have the N7 character and facing and getting his butt whipped by what looked like a Yogg. And there's two shots of that. I skipped the first one because I knew this one was coming up later. But it makes me wonder what other races have gone to Andromeda that, you know, when we get there, we may be seeing some old faces again for the first time, but a different evolved version of it. I don't know. Same thing about this, which I feel like so much is a Thresher Maw, you know, but a really, really different looking Thresher Maw. When you look at it, it doesn't just have the regular worm shape. It's got these, what looks like bone rings around the head, which is coming up out of the ground in a vertical fashion. I don't know what to make of it, guys. You let me know. Do you think that is a Thresher Maw? What do you think that is? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. And speaking of combat, this was like one of the first times we actually see some of the combat frames. And this actually looks like the interior, and you see the guys way down on the other end. Look like they have some type of N7-ish looking gear. It's kind of hard to make out in these photos. But this makes me think about the multiplayer, and I would love to see the multiplayer come back. A lot of people had fun with the multiplayer. It's also a huge moneymaker for, you know, EA and BioWare. I don't see why they wouldn't put it in, but it's kind of interesting to try to make out what these classes may or may not be based off of these photos. But you can definitely kind of make out that there's, an N7 trooper, and I can't really make out the rest. It makes me wonder what has happened to these races. But, I feel like these shots are to more get us excited about what we could be seeing, and maybe aren't the finished product, but if they are, then man, the game looks really good. Yeah, I don't know. There's always that bait and switch possibility to E3, but I really dig the idea that this makes me think about the multiplayer. In this shot, I feel like we're seeing something very akin to the shuttle that used to take us, down for our missions in Mass Effect 2 and 3, but a much more bulked up and buffed up version of it. It looks like it has some sort of, 4-engine tails where, the old ones would have like the 2 prongs on the front, and this thing has got like 4 on the back. I don't know what to make of it. Is this some kind of loading station? Is this another like refueling spot on a planet? It's just so hard to know. This right here I thought was one of the most striking images because it kind of says to me all is not perfect within the races that we've known before, even pushing into Andromeda, where you have this guy just being held over the abyss and looking like he's about being ready to be dropped. I don't know if that also tells us a little bit about our character, about, being on the run, or his rough upbringing, or, are these his crewmates and they're actually just doing some funky game or initiation? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys, so let me know. Now, this was one of my favorite shots from the whole trailer, is this shuttle going up from what looks like Earth up to this gigantic shuttle that's being built. And this gives me hope. Something that was desperately missing after 3, which when we felt like the Mass Effect relays were blown up, that was the end of all civilization, and we're just going, what? And this is a great shot to kind of make me feel like, no, man, they rebuilt, everything is back, they're ready to push on and try new things, and it was great to just see Earth whole. So guys, I gotta know, what is this shot? We see the shuttles coming up to this, so I'm wondering, is this some kind of giant colonization ship? Is this a new type of Mass Effect relay? Is this some type of ship that uses Mass Effect technology so it doesn't need a relay? I don't know, but I kind of feel like the Tempest using this as its launching platform out in Andromeda. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I want to hear your guys' theories. You tell me what you think this is, because I think this thing is awesome. And everything in the trailer has a purpose. That ship shot right before this one brings us right to here, which I think is the interior of that bigger ship. I think it's some kind of sleeper ship. This person looks like they're waking up out of some kind of sleep of whatever trip it took to get them to Andromeda, and the next shot we're going to see is kind of a close-up on their face, but I love the fact that there's almost that weird creepy feeling of isolation, like they're the only one. It makes me wonder if there's a massive amount of people still asleep. And here's that first close-up shot, guys, and one of the things I wanted to point out is that from this coloring, it looks like the lead character has red hair and blue eyes. And I would add that the default for FemShep had red hair and blue eyes. I'm not saying this is FemShep. I'm not saying this is somebody related to it. I'm just saying it's just kind of an interesting coincidence and something that kind of ties, I feel, these games a little bit together in a subtle way. That's all I got now, guys. You let me know what you guys think about this trailer.